What's up, everyone? How is everyone doing? This is Tea Time with Robyn. We are back. And it's great to be back because, there were people out there saying that the Bills were going to lose this game. And look at us. We are back. We're going to be back anyway to talk about it, but we are back in a winning column. In a winning column, we are back. If you didn't know, and you were living underneath a rock, and I apologize for you doing that, the Bills beat the Ravens 27-25, and they're moving on to the AFC Championship game. One more game to the Super Bowl. Woo! The game.
Yeah.
Listen, I wanted them to get the ball first. They didn't. They love the double dip. I'm fine with the double dip. I'm fine with it. I'm getting fine with it. I like for them to have the ball first, but I get it. Oh, Robyn, explain your feelings from this game, man.
Ooh, I couldn't believe it. After it was over, it literally took me a few minutes to think about. Hi, Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
It took me a few minutes to gather myself because I was like, oh, we won. And then it was like, oh, we're going to the AFC Championship game.
Right.
And then it was, oh, we're going to play the Chiefs again. It was so crazy. But this team, and I keep reminding people, we're playing with house money now.
We are.
Nobody expected the Bills to win the AFC East, let alone make it to the AFC Championship game with this team.
Yep.
Nobody expected it. I don't think even half of us expected it.
Well, I expected us to win the division because I just didn't want nobody else to. So that was my thing. No, I didn't expect them to go to the AFC Championship game. We were told, and you guys know this, that we were told that without Stephon Diggs, this team was not going to be anything.
Going to take a step back.
Take a step back. We don't have a number one. It was a lot. It was a lot. You're right. It was a lot of talk. And now a lot of people have to, like John said, eat crow. You have to eat crow. It's, and you still have those commentators. You still have those people saying nasty things about the Buffalo Bills. But for the most part, it is killing them to split their mouths to say anything good about the Bills. Because they're just because they were wrong. And now they're like, what I said was, no, we know what you said. We know. We heard it. We heard it all off season. We heard it the training camp. We heard it through the regular season. We heard it through the playoffs. We're hearing it now when they enter to the AFC Championship. They don't have a chance to beat. The one guy said, and I'm not saying his name, Josh Allen has done nothing. He's done nothing. He can't beat the Chiefs in the regular season. In the playoffs. He can't do it. He'll never do it. And I'm like, oh my God, these nevers. And he won't do it. Stop. They didn't have us beating the Ravens. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that we could change that just a little and ask people to eat Raven?
That's so Raven. Oh, God. I don't know.
Anyway, I just want to say to the Ravens fans, there's one wonderful Ravens fan that I know. She's a terrific person. The rest of what I see on X or wherever about Ravens fans is not so flattering. And the way that they put death threats out there for poor Mark Andrews. And of course, Bills fans donate money because that's what we do, right? We donate money, even though the Ravens fans all say, well, you wouldn't have done that if you would have lost. It's do you even know history?
No. They
we
just
give
talk.
money even when we lose. We took care of Scott Norwood back in the day
Yeah.
because he was a mess.
I mean, it but is also going into this game like there's going to be narratives out there, and the narratives with the Ravens against the Buffalo Bills was just so foul and nasty. I'm not going to repeat any of that on here, because we don't stand for that stuff. This is football. It's entertainment. We don't play. Personally, we don't play, and I'm not going to go to where they went with this stuff. I
Right.
enjoy watching football. I enjoy watching my team win. I like Lamar Jackson. Not a fan of the Ravens because I'm a Bills fan. But all we heard was how the Ravens was going to come over into the stadium of the Buffalo Bills and mollywop the Bills. Derrick Henry was going to run the hell out of the. I
How'd that work out?
said, what? Uh, okay, so let's get into the game. So there's some takeaways, and we're going to be all over the place. We don't have like on the defensive side. We're just going to be all over the place. Some takeaways I took away from the game, and then also Robyn took some stuff away as well. So Matt Milano, glad to have him back.
Real Matt Milano is back. And I wonder, this is an interesting game. The way that he played, he was a spy on Lamar.
Yes,
much of the time, and I thought that was very interesting and did a very good job, in my opinion. And we have heard that he's got a little sore hammy, so we have to hope that he rehabs that very well this week, because we're definitely going to need him.
Right.
I was going to ask you if you thought, we'll talk about the Chiefs game later, but I did want to ask you, it's kind of an interesting thing in terms of how do you use Matt Milano now? Because he did great as a spy on Lamar. So do you spy Patrick, or, and this is my thinking, does he spy Travis Kelce? Because Travis Kelce is a guy who needs a spy. And as I recall, and I'm old, so don't hold me to my memory, but as I recall, Matt Milano has been singled up on Travis Kelce and done a good job in the past.
He has.
Do we do that again?
You know what? I don't know. See, with the injury, will tell us more today and Friday how they play that. Because even in a game last year, because I went back and watched some of that game, Darian Williams played an all right game. Like, he was everywhere in that game.
Dorian's come a long way.
He has. But I don't know how good he'll be against a Travis Kelce, like last game. But also, too, I can't even judge him because who was beside him? Because Bernard didn't play. It was Spector, and it was also the guy that came off the freaking vacation. Klein. So, AJ Klein. So I can't really, even though, like you said, he's been playing much, much better this season. I don't know. That's a good question. Like
it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, because just like with the Ravens, you had to worry about Derrick Henry and Lamar. And in this game, you have to worry about Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but I think the Ravens game, the step up was Ed Oliver and Jones. They stepped it. That game was won in the trenches. Let's just talk about it, because I think they took it very personally that they were going to come in here. These 300-pound guys was just going to come in here and just roll over the Buffalo Bills. And I said this before. I said, when it comes to the defense, it starts with Ed Oliver. Everything, I think, starts with Ed.
And the D-line.
Yeah.
If he's having a good game, everybody has a good game.
And it stepped up. He stepped up. I mean, he took it personal. He
Hi,
definitely took. Hey,
Christopher.
Chris, how you doing? He took it personal.
Mm-hmm.
They
He did.
won this game in the trenches. They did not want Derrick Henry to go off, and he only had 21 yards in the first half.
He only had 84 yards the whole game. He ran for 87 yards on the first play.
Mm. Mm.
Think of it that way. So they did a very good job corralling him, which is why I think that's something that needs to continue. Only it might not be the running back you're going after. It might be Travis Kelce.
Right.
But you have to account for these players who are difficult to account for
Right.
different reasons. But I wanted to mention, because you're right, Ed Oliver seems to have, when is it that Ed Oliver blossoms? He blossoms just as, like you said, when people go after him and say, you're a piece of poop and you can't play. Then he'll come out like his hair is on fire. But it's very reliant, in my opinion, on how Daquan Jones is playing.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
Daquan is doing well, that frees up Ed Oliver a lot to be a lot more disruptive. And we haven't seen this season first level Daquan Jones on a consistent basis, in my opinion.
They were also rotating a lot in this
Yes.
game.
Yes, they were. They
Now,
were.
I like the rotation, don't get me wrong, but I also like the fact if someone's hot, leave them in.
Exactly.
I know we're not, I don't know, think we're going to do, like you said, spill the tea, but I know you wanted to speak about Austin Johnson. He played a lot in this game.
He did.
And it showed. It for
did.
sure showed.
It did. The thing that was interesting is how different the philosophy. Hi, John. The difference in philosophy on defense, how it's changed in the last couple of weeks, especially, but most especially against the Ravens. We blitzed, I heard two different figures, but we blitzed 40, some said 46, some said 48% of the time. Now, we are not a blitzing team.
No.
But we blitzed almost half the time. Why did we do it? Because the blitz does a lot to cover up weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to Joe Marino talk about this on his podcast, and he was talking about how you can disguise a lot of warts on your defense.
Oh, yeah.
By targeted blitzing. And we saw lots of that. So I expect we may see lots of that again.
Yeah, the Bills also play man too in this game as well. They're playing a lot more man this season than prior seasons. And I think it's just the players they have. Benford is a great cornerback.
Yeah, we got to hope that concussion thing goes away.
No
One thing to mention about the defensive line, Epinesa, I thought, had an excellent game. And I think we need to shout him out because it's easy to criticize him because at times he disappears.
Yes.
But he did not disappear in the Ravens game. I thought he looked solid, very solid. And you're right about the defensive line rotation. It was interesting that Austin Johnson saw a lot more playing time. I think that may have been, again, by design. You look at matchups, and he seemed to match up better. And I think that's why we saw him out there more. And he was effective.
Yeah,
I thought he was very effective. If our defensive line can play to the level that they played against the Ravens, this game is going to get very interesting with the Chiefs.
I mean, you accounted for, was it 3 turnovers?
Yes.
One a forced turnover, Hamlin, wrapping up Lamar's leg. Von Miller is
by the leg, and it was like I'm hanging on for dear life. Boom, the ball pops out.
And then Von was taking it. I was like, come on, Von, truck those legs, Von.
Oh, man, he was running pretty good for a 35-year-old.
He was.
Defensive lineman. I was like, wow, you still got some good legs there, Von.
Yes.
Let's do it again.
And then the pick from Rapp.
Yes.
That forced that pick. We didn't get any points on that. Those were the things that we have to capitalize on when we get those interceptions, when we get those opportunities, those turnovers. You got to turn those turnovers into points, and that one didn't happen. And then the peanut punch from Bernard. Oof. He didn't even try to tackle him.
He's
He
so
went.
good at it.
He is. He's one of the guys that he does it really, really well. So, I mean, 3 turnovers by this Ravens team. And then let's talk about, I'm hearing, well, Josh didn't do enough. Actually, he did. He didn't turn the ball over. They handed the ball off to Cook. They were running in the first half. They were running the ball very, very efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Very efficiently. I think towards the second half, they put
the Ravens made good adjustments in the second
did,
half.
but I also think that they took their foot off the pedal.
They did.
That pisses me off so bad, to where I know you're up. Was it 21-10?
Yeah, that prevent defense.
Yeah, I hate it. I wish it would just go in the toilet. I really do.
I'll go to my grave hating it.
Yes, and you've seen it.
Take what they're giving you. Take what they're giving you. Going into prevent defense, you've stopped them all day long, right? You see how to attack them. You attack them the same way.
Yeah.
Why do you change the way that you attack them? That makes absolutely no sense to me. But
that touchdown, was it likely?
Yeah,
I think it was likely. I was just like, he's wide open.
He was wide open.
Oh, yeah. You're trying to have me have a heart attack watching the game. It's just crazy. It's crazy. And, I mean, we all seen it. We all know that he dropped the ball. Like, but still, he was right there by himself. I was just like, oh, come on,
we can't
guys.
have that. We can't have that this week. We can't have mistakes like that, because Kansas City will make you pay.
Yeah, they will. They will. But again, I've always said you need luck and you need health. And we kind of got health on our side. And I think we got lucky this last game.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, since that segues into the injuries that happened in the game. And good news is that all 3 injuries that were reported on, these guys were listed as limited yesterday in practice. So that's a good sign, because that's what happened the week before in terms of the concussion protocol. It looks like if Benford was there on a limited basis, then maybe he's going to be able to play. That's huge. We need him.
Here's go ahead.
Milano has a sore hammy, as reported by McDermott. So we hope that he's in the hot tub, cold tub, whatever tub you need to be in,
right?
Or both, whatever floats your boat. But it would be great. When I saw Taylor Rapp go off on the cart, I was like,
Yeah, someone said they didn't want him to walk so that far, and I definitely see that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the concussion, I've heard that there's no such thing as a concussion when it comes to the playoffs. So,
well, there's some of that too.
Be what it may, right? So
I'm sure that's very true.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I think Benford will be back, because what do we do if he's not?
Right.
I don't trust Kyer Elam.
No, hell no. No offense, Kyer.
Game.
I'm sorry, Kyer. I'm just over
can't go
Kyer
there.
Experience. I was really shocked that Ray Davis didn't have on a Guardian cap.
It was surprising. Probably a personal choice. I think that they don't mandate them, under those conditions. And my guess is, and I don't know this, but I just look at it and it's so bulky. I wonder if it's heavier.
It does look heavy. I mean, DeMar Hamlin had one on and Rapp had one on, and I think they just did it because they knew they were going to be tackling freaking Derrick Henry, and that's a big guy. So
put the cap on.
Yeah, prevent getting any concussions or anything. I mean, great That was very wise of them to do that because that's a big dude back there trying to tackle him for sure.
He's
What
enjoying
else?
Cancun.
Yes, yes, he is. He definitely is. Definitely is. John said there will need to be a spy on Mahomes. Yeah, we spoke about that. Robyn had said something of that magnitude. But
Spying is going to be a good question, John, because do you spy him or do you spy Travis Kelce? Because Travis Kelce he did some serious damage last week. He did.
mhm. Even
And
though they started out slow, I mean, that defense of Houston is really, really good.
they're really good.
They just couldn't get anything going on the opposite side of the ball.
No, and I think Stroud had himself a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
In part because, in fairness to him, he lost his wide receivers. He lost Tank Dell. He lost Diggs. So, that's kind of understandable. But I thought, even aside from that, I thought he slipped back a little bit. Maybe he was a little too full of himself in his rookie year because he was pedestrian
Mm.
this past year.
I mean, that O line didn't help him at all, but they were
No,
still in it. I mean, he has to get rid of that ball. I think he was holding on to the ball too long. And I mean, when you don't have your guys out there to get open and he's
guys that
not
you
going to
trust,
run,
right? Like all
right.
the guys you trust.
Yeah.
And
And he's not a running
outside of Nico
quarterback.
Collins, who did they have?
Yeah. I mean, and they were in it.
They
They were
were
in it
in it.
right down to the end.
And that's what should give us hope. That's what should give us hope because that game was also played in Kansas City.
Mhm.
And the Texans took it to them for as long as they could with their defense.
We've seen this, and we're going to get into the Chiefs game. We've seen this lineup, I guess, if you can say, Tehran against Kelce. To me, it doesn't work. We've seen it. It's going to take a masterpiece when it comes to Bobby Babbage
Scheme.
scheming up this. And I'm sorry, y'all. It's going to take some luck.
It is
I'm
gonna take
a believer. Like, it's going to take some luck. I believe it. I believe it. Like,
Okay, if you're going to talk about luck, and I agree with you, can I bring up
go
the
ahead,
referees?
because we're getting into it. So go ahead.
Because we're done. I think we're done talking about the Ravens game pretty
Yeah.
much.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to take luck. And it also takes having the right refs in games. And people talk about this, but let's face it. I mean, it's such an issue that it affects the odds in Vegas depending on who the referee is for a game. I mean, that's how impactful it is at this
Mm-hmm.
point. So let's talk about the ref. The ref for the game coming up against Cleveland, his name is Clete, Clete, Clete Blakeman. And this guy is very, very flag happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, I think that we all better prepare ourselves for one of those games because this guy averages about 20 flags a game.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of flags. Now, the good news is that he doesn't appear to put up with much of Kansas City's BS when it comes to testing the refs, because we all know that's what KC does. They get a pass interference penalty, they'll run the same darn thing again until the ref says, they think the ref isn't going to call it again. He's going to call it again. This guy, Clete Blakeman, he's going to call it again. He throws more flags against KC than he does Buffalo. So take that for what it's worth, which is not much, but he does throw more flags. So, and why would that be? Well, maybe because the Chiefs do commit a lot of penalties. And I do think that not necessarily in terms of the refs, but even just the number of penalties that are called. If he calls 20 in this game, it's going to have some impact on the game.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, I say this, I don't want a really heavy flag game, but then I also don't want it to be, if it's holding, call it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, do I want the flags? It's hard. It's really, really hard. But even with that, with the referees with home field advantage, and this is why you want the number one seed.
Oh,
This is
gotta have
why
the
you,
bye week and the home field advantage all the
yeah,
way through the playoffs? Yeah. It's a
this
much
is why.
easier path. I mean, come on, the Bills, the Broncos, okay, they didn't put up a big deal, but the Ravens game was tough. And so the pathway for the Bills to get to the Super Bowl is a heck of a lot harder than what Kansas City's had to deal with.
Right,
A
right,
bye week and the Texans, whose
right.
offense was lame. So
You have to beat everyone that you. So the Bills had to play the Broncos, which the Broncos beat us last year. And then we had to play the Ravens, which the Ravens beat us last this year. And now we have to play Kansas City, that we
we've
beat
never
in the
beaten in
regular
the
season
playoffs.
and never beat them in the playoffs. This is why you want the number one seed. I mean,
It
I
is.
get it. Last year they were home and we still lost. It just feels different this year. I don't know why, but it
Well,
just does.
there's so much that's different from a psyche point of view. I'm thinking about Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has not had a chance to come back to this level for the last 3 years, division round, out, out, out. Now he's back in the AFC Championship game for the first time in a long time, and it's one game to the Super Bowl. It's one game to get back in the
Mm,
dance. And Buffalo, oh, John said Buffalo only had one penalty against the Ravens. That's going to play a big role. They're going to have to keep things tight down. But
yeah.
the other thing is what getting back to what you were saying, T, luck plays a role in this. The
Mm,
pigskin bounces weird ways, and you don't know which way it's going to bounce this week. You have to take control of the things that you can control.
right.
And that's going to be a huge part of this. The Bills cannot lose their temper. They cannot get into the BS that Kansas City can sometimes draw you in. And they have
Mm-hmm.
to stay mentally focused.
And
And
I said that last week. So I said, do your 111th,
right,
right? Gap
right.
control. They did all of that
They did. They
and
did
had a
everything
little
you
luck.
said.
Yeah. And it had a little luck in that too.
They did. And as you pointed out, that's not something to dismiss. It's not something to dismiss. And Kansas City has been so lucky.
Oh, yeah.
On top, you know,
Throughout the whole season.
oh my God, how many games have they won? It drove me nuts all
Yeah.
season long. You
I
know, I
mean,
watched them every game I could. I watched, and they were so lucky.
yeah. But I mean, look, that luck got them
It
to the
did.
AFC championship
It
with the
did.
Buffalo Bills again. And we understand this is the fourth meeting against the Chiefs. Oh, and we know who they have. They have their three solid guys. They have Patrick Mahomes, four actually. Patrick Mahomes, um, Chris Jones, Kelsey, and the number one, Andy Reid.
Oh, the Andy Reid factor, the
It's
play calling, the adjustments that he makes are unsurpassed. There is hardly anyone that can call a game better
yeah,
than he does.
and their
And that's
defensive
why it's going to be
coordinator.
interesting because it's going to be Joe Brady
Yeah.
and Andy Reid. And Joe Brady is about, you know, to get his second interview with the New Orleans Saints. I think he's focused on, you know, I've got to be able to call a clean game, call a good game, don't make any gaffes. That's that sort of thing. Because
He's
in the Ravens game, there were a couple times that he was making calls that I was like, what is he doing now?
but there's one
And
that Josh changed.
yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there were a couple, and we can't have that, right? Like we can't have that happen against KC because they're that good. And now we're in down to the wire, and everybody's going to be balls to the wall,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be balls to the wall. I mean, Travis Kelce looked like he skated through the regular season and only played at half speed.
I know. And yeah, I
And he
mean,
probably did.
it, yeah. I mean, we've been also hearing about how they haven't opened the book. You haven't seen the real Chiefs yet. It's just like, okay. I mean,
Well, it's
we
probably
also
true.
haven't. I don't think we've seen the offense of the Buffalo Bills. Like
No.
Cooper has not been really targeted.
No.
Like also Keon Coleman hasn't been really targeted. Let's talk about Samuel has not been really targeted. Like
Kincaid hasn't been targeted as much as I thought he would.
right, but I think this game is going to be a tight ends and running back type of a game. More tight ends, because I'd be quite honest with you, the weakness of that defense is the ability to cover tight ends, and KC is weak in that category. So in that area, so we'll see. Hopefully, because Kincaid didn't play the last game, so hopefully,
I think he's going to make a difference. I think having Alec Anderson in there periodically is going to make a difference. If you spring James Cook, like I think we can spring James Cook, because here's the other thing: the run defense for Kansas City is not as good as it was. And they went from, I believe I heard them say, it might have been Joe Marino, that they went from 4th to 11th.
Really?
Yes, against the run.
This year.
Yes.
Well, last week, Mixon was kind of getting his
he had his way at times. Yeah. So I expect that we'll talk about this more, but I expect that's the key to the game. I really do, is our run game. We have to be able to run the ball. If we can run the ball on Kansas City, we control the clock, we keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, keep their offense off the field, and score. That's the most important thing.
Continue to score. Joe Brady, if you're listening, continue to score. I think Joe Brady is one of a hot commodity right now.
Yes.
Of a head coach. People are interviewing him, wanting him, and stuff like that. So he's a hot commodity. They've seen what he's done in this offense. They've seen what Joe Brady has done with quote unquote nothing, right? So because I think Josh is Josh. But when you put someone like a Joe Brady next to Josh and telling him, this is your offense, I want to do I want to display you. And that's what he's doing. So this is why he potentially may just get a head coaching job because of that. Could you imagine going into KC, Joe Brady laying out a masterful play calling and beating the Chiefs, and Joe Brady is just now
beating Andy Reid at his own game, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I can see
he
it.
has it in
I
him.
envision it. I do. I believe so. I really, really believe so. I mean, one more game, Robyn. One more game, guys. That's in the comments. Like one more game. I feel I'm a fan, so I want this bad. Not just going, but winning it.
Do you think it could come down to who has the ball last?
I hope.
I don't know if I could live through that.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know what to expect. I have
we
no
all
idea.
know we don't know what to expect, but we all know it's going to be one of those tight games. You might not sit down. You might be standing the whole time. You might just yell just to yell because it's just your nerves is bad.
Blood pressure pill.
Right, something. Take a shot. Calm your nerves. But I mean, the Bills have heard it. They've been counted out this whole season, and the Josh has been with Josh and a bunch of misfits. That's what they've heard. They've heard the coach crumble and under pressure. That's what they heard. People are judging Sean McDermott. You're going to hear about the 13 seconds. You're going to hear about it. You're going to, once this Saturday and Sunday, you're going to see the banner. You're going to see Diggs. You're going to see the 13 seconds. You're going to see all of this stuff. And
not if you do what I do and turn off the TV.
But I do hope that players watch. And I hope they get mad.
Well, there's enough out there for them.
I mean, only you don't even you need it, but you don't need it because your next step will be the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl, Robyn.
This is it. That's why I think Josh, this in his mind, this is his access to his dream. Mm-hmm. He says this all the time. His only dream is to win a Super Bowl for Buffalo. That is his singular focus in life. And I believe that he's going to come out and play like that. Even though sometimes he gets the yips early.
Yeah.
A little bit. I saw a little bit of yips.
Yes.
In the Ravens game at first. Yeah. You know, a couple balls got overthrown, you know, that sort of thing. And we've seen that before. But I think Josh has a much better handle on his emotions now than he used to. And I think he knows how to get himself through those moments when he's feeling like he's got the yips. He's got a better focus now. And let's face it, he's a grizzled veteran now.
Yeah.
He is a grizzled veteran, and he has played in a lot of playoff games. And guess what, folks? In the playoffs, he is a lot more effective than Lamar is.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, it's just like, it's like a switch when it comes to Josh. It's like playoff time, switch on. It's like he's just a different guy. He steps his play up to a different level when it's the playoffs. And I think, like we've all said, and you've said, Josh is just, he's wired different. You know what I mean? And Sean McDermott said this too, when he puts himself to something, when he sets a goal, he sets that goal and he wants to accomplish it. Because prior to coming into this season, he put as a goal not to turn the ball over. And you've seen that he didn't turn the ball over until, I think, week 6, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, that was his goal. And if his goal is to go out there and win that big game, I think that's, like, they already have a chip. So they don't need it from us. They got the chip. They heard it. They heard it. He said in the presser, we heard what you said. We weren't big enough. We couldn't tackle. We can't do this. They hear it. So, I know you said if they establish the run, what do you think the Bills have to do to beat KC and move on to the Super Bowl?
They have to have luck, like you said, luck working on their side. And they do. They have to be able to run the ball. I don't think they can win this game. If Kansas City shuts down the running game, it's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that they necessarily will be able to, because the Bills have another key. You said this, and you're right. This game is about the trenches again. And the Bills' defensive line overperformed compared to the way they played in the regular season. They're going to need to do that again. And the Bills' offensive line needs to continue doing what they have done. I was going to mention this. Has anybody talked about the fact that in the regular season, we are now through, I believe, our 3rd year where our offensive line has not
Don't say it.
From start. I'm talking about the regular season.
Okay.
I'm just talking,
regular season.
Regular season here. But Jesus. 3 seasons in a row, that's happened. Mm-hmm. That's not an accident. That part isn't even luck. That's our training staff. And I think they make a big difference in terms of how they prepare players and how they treat players. And that, I think, is very important. Now, another key to beat I think Shakir needs to have some impact on this game coming up. No turnovers, please. Can we have another turnover-free game? And some kind of plan for Travis Kelce. Some kind of plan for dealing with Travis Kelce. I personally like the combination of Milano and Kelce because
like it too.
Milano is bigger. I know
Yeah.
it was John that mentioned earlier. Somebody mentioned earlier Taron Johnson. Taron Johnson would be terrific, but I
If he
don't know
was
that he's
bigger.
big enough.
Right.
Milano's big enough and has covered Travis Kelce successfully in the past.
Yes.
So
My only concern, like we said before, it was the soreness and how is he going to turn around that hamstring that's supposedly sore. So I'm with you with that.
what
I'm
else you got for me?
Rob, I'm here too. I like the fact that we haven't used Coop. I just see it as maybe like a Detroit Lions game, one of those back and forth games.
Mm-hmm. You think Ty Johnson will be a key?
Yes. Yes.
I wondered about that.
Definitely. But again, running backs, tight ends, I think. Running backs, tight ends. And the guys, the last time we played, we also, the playoff game, we dropped some balls in that game. So I don't know. Listen.
One game. It's one game to the Super Bowl.
Right. One game. I can't wait until it gets here. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. I know I am. I hate that it's
I'll
late.
text you.
But yeah, we're going to be texting each other anyway. But guys, I think that's it.
That's it. I have nothing left.
We beat the Ravens. They beat the Ravens. They showed them that they are who they say they are. And now we're moving on to Kansas City, and we're going to show the world, hopefully, that the Bills are not the Bills of old, but the Bills of new. And for all of you said that they couldn't do it, look where they're at right now. But that being said, guys, I don't even know what to say anymore. But I think this is just a go Bills. Thank you guys for showing up always, and peace out. We'll see you next week, regardless of what happens.
Go Bills.
Go Bills, y'all. Peace out.